Now, the board reports that the government of Ghana on the 5th of December issued a domestic debt exchange covering all medium and long-term debt issued in the local currency by the government of Ghana, Dachi, and ESLA. Listen to this carefully. Local currency. Very instructive. Now, government-issued T-bills have been excluded from the debt exchange, and the initial exchange did not include debt denominated in US dollars and COCO bills issued by COCOBOD. Over the course of the discussions with bondholders, the government also agreed that pension funds would not be part. We know that subsequently, government has issued a letter wanting pension funds to be part. Now, the debt exchange was settled in February 2023, where in total, 85% of face value of bonds held by investors other than pension funds were exchanged. But this is the instructive part, Raymond and Kojo. The government is pursuing further exchanges of domestic debt denominated in US dollars and COCO bills issued by COCOBOD. While these two types of debt account for only 5% of total domestic debt, they also represent about 15 billion in debt service in 2023.
So COCO bills?
Yes, go ahead. COCO bills, government is pursuing further exchange of domestic debt denominated in US dollars. Yes, so we have these kind of bonds. And then COCO bills by COCOBOD.
COCO bills and US dollar denominated local domestic bonds. Sorry.
Yes.
Okay. Together make up how much?
Well, together they make up 5% of total domestic debt.
Okay. Which is about 15
and
billion.
They represent 15 billion in debt service in 2023. And according to
debt service.
Debt service, yes, 15 billion in 2023. That's the current fiscal year. And the government intends to exchange this as well. So what this means is that while for many we may think that the debt exchange is over, it may not be over. Now, I just decided to check also, domestic debt is the second amendment, for instance. And this is what I saw. It says the following table set forth the series of eligible bonds subject to the invitation by the exchange. Certain non-marketable securities issued by the Republic are not subject to this invitation. Such non-marketable securities may, however, be the subject of other exchanges and purchases by the government of Ghana from time to time. So, if you're a holder of a dollar-denominated debt or a COCOBOD bill, what this tells you is that there's a possibility that government may come to you and ask you to exchange it. Can I go on, Raymond?
Yeah.
Great. So that's just the first one. Now, let me go on to other ones. Unless you have a question, could you?
Actually, I want to situate this. Okay. The first domestic debt exchange that was done was quite fraught. Let's be fair. Quite fraught. There was negotiation back and forth. There was a refusal on the part of government to negotiate at some point. There was a take it or leave it stance. There was a lot of pain. After which agreements were made. The agreements themselves were not adhered to. When it was time for payment, there were delays, there were defaults. So, if indeed government has committed to do further domestic debt exchanges, the first question should be, what have we learned from the first one? And how can it be done better? What's the right way of doing it? Because I've never heard anybody in government talk about this. Before they offered it to the IMF or proposed it to the IMF, they didn't speak to those who are affected by it. So are we repeating the mistakes that we made the first time we did a domestic debt exchange? Or have we learned anything from it and are we planning to do it differently? They've committed to doing it, but they haven't spoken to the people who are affected. What is the scope for an exchange? What are they going to offer? And what options do COCO bills holders have? How will it affect the cocoa sector itself? Okay, because these are bills that are floated for a purpose,
Yeah.
right? How will the sector itself be affected by this?
Great. Very interesting question.
It's true.